Like I said, it happens, and hopefully some kids can learn from it, but just don't get caught.
I'm down to dunk.
And I'm down to dunk. I'm down to dunk. This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lindy Waters, and I'm down to dunk. I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kenneth Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
We say this is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Cracklin Oat Bran?
Have you had Cracklin Oat Bran?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's healthy.
You a big oat brand guy?
I'm a big Oat Bran guy.
Okay.
I think I would switch it with Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, eat faster. Don't put as much in the bowl.
You have a gallon of milk I can also take home.
You don't have milk at home?
One cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Crunch. Yeah. Cereal is great. Yeah.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
Well, it's good to be back on our normal time. It feels feels being back. And hey, the season is almost, but not really coming. So
Yeah, so we've got this week, next week, and then training camp starts October 2nd. So we're almost there. We're almost there. We're still in this like weird in between phase where I think it's too early to like truly do preview content because a lot of people are still focused on college football and the NFL just started. And so if we start preview content now, one, we don't have a lot of context because we're going to gain a ton of context come October 2nd and then through training camp that we didn't have before. So it's a little foolish to start our preview content today. So we are not doing that. So we're going to still kind of look back and we are going to give grades for all of Sam Presti's rebuild draft picks and stuff that he did in the draft. So Michele and I, if you don't know, if you haven't been listening to us, maybe this is your first time listening, welcome to our show. And two, Michele and I love the draft. We are obsessed with the draft.
yeah.
That's just the way that we operate. So, okay. Before we get started, last Tuesday, some news dropped about the Thunder Arena. There's still a lot of things that are unclear about it. Some of it is that it still has to be voted on by the city council. That's going to be taken to city council here in like a week or so, I believe. And then once it's approved, then it will go to a vote on December 12th. So, Michele, you don't live in Oklahoma City, but you have probably seen a lot of the chatter that's gone on about the arena. Do you have any takeaways, any thoughts?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, because I obviously am following, since it's basically, I'm not from Oklahoma, but I kind of feel I'm adopted somehow. And so it's kind of my city too. Even if I don't vote, I'm not close enough to vote or to be really appreciative of how much OKC changed the city in general. I lived a very similar situation on my city where an arena has to be made in order to go from basically the second league in Italy to the first one, because I mean the numbers of people that were in attendance had to grow, and the city made the same decision, and without any commitment from the ownership, without any money. It was a very different number, and it looked foolish when 2 years after basically the team disappeared. But if I look at it from a 5 to 10 year standpoint, there is another professional team now that is using the building, who's paying the city to do that. They had a lot of events because of the way in which they build the arena. So OKC will probably have a strong commitment from ownership who put real money into this and will put that as during their life in OKC, because right now the number seems very low, like 50 compared to 900 is a stark difference. But we are talking about initial investment, not rolling figures, and we don't know that. We don't know how the revenue will change for the city having an arena like that, having a bigger arena, like the direct and indirect money that will flow into the city because of the arena. And then I guess that the team will pay more than what they are paying now, because they are playing in Paycom, which is a different arena from what they are going to build, which will be, I guess, state of the art, an amazing arena, maybe with I don't know if there are like rooms or hotel inside, or maybe close to that, so where you can build a city, like a place in the city where you can actually have maybe the All-Star game, maybe the Final Four of college, something that right now you can't absolutely do. And so to me, it's tough to spend 900 billions, whatever, millions, billion seems too much, to do that. But it's also, hey, this team is really changing the texture of the city, and we'll do that again in this new wave, more likely than not. So it's up to everyone to say if this is a fair or unfair tax. But to me, like, it's undeniable that whoever is making the calculation is making those calculations not just because it's fun to have an NBA city, but because the city is benefiting from having one. So that is my too long monologue on the matter.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I think it's okay to think that the ownership's not contributing enough. I think it's not it doesn't look good. And I think that's okay. I think my thought would be, hey, ownership, if you're not going to pay upfront for the arena, my hope is that they would invest in the team long term. And in the form of like paying the luxury tax, or let's say, a lot of people are like, oh, this new CBA kind of screws over teams like the Thunder. One, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
Two, what if all these guys are good? Or what if there's an opportunity where in a year and a half, Giannis is like, hey, I'd like to come to the Thunder because I like what Sam Presti's building, or whatever it is, where there is a chance for this team to be very, very good, but very, very expensive. I think it's fair for the citizens of Oklahoma City to look at the ownership group and say, hey, we help pay for the state-of-the-art arena, which is going to be, this is kind of like the Jaylen Brown contract. It's going to be one of the most expensive arenas in the country. But also it's like the beginning of all these other teams needing, a lot of teams are going to need an arena soon. Like New Orleans is going to need a new one. And if they wait, I was talking to a friend yesterday, if they wait a year or two to make these plans, it's not going to be 900 million. It's going to be 1.5 billion because of the cost of everything going up so significantly year to year. So I'm sorry that it does cost a lot. And I think it's fair to be critical of the amount that the ownership is paying. But I also think it's fair to say, hey, great. We are going to, as citizens of Oklahoma, we are going to vote yes for this and expect the investment on the back end to be toward the team. And I think that that's a fair expectation.
Yeah,
and
it's also,
they've been saving money through these years and making money through these lean years, because the most expensive part of owning a team is paying the players. They haven't had to do that. Okay.
No. And again, you make a great point of, hey, it's not that the owners are not doing anything to keep the basketball here. Like, they have to pay. Yes, they will make money, but like in the long term, the idea is that both sides make money. Suppose that the it would be very interesting for the owners to get 500 million, 500 millions on this bill. Great. So the city basically doesn't do anything. They have a return of investment in probably 5 years. Like, this is not business. This is not real business. Like, nobody does that. And so it's they could have made again a double. But if I am the city and I'm having like cash to build and I don't need stuff in advance, again, there are other ways to get a good deal that doesn't involve like having an initial down payment that is very high. Again, we don't know. Maybe it's no down payment, very little a year amount. And if you look at the deal in general, it's, hey, I'm paying most of the bill because I want you to be here. It may be that in the end, but A, we don't know. B, it's unlikely because to me, like at the beginning when the team arrived, there is again a very different city from that point, from that era, and so and these things can be calculated in terms of money for the citizens. So again, it's not an impossible calculation, but it's a difficult one, and you need a lot of details. And looking just at 50 versus 900, it's not a good way to do it. Yeah. I know that this is the only numbers that have been like publicly available, but again, it's much more than that. And so to me, it's more don't look at the 950. Look at what the tax is for you, and if that tax for you is, hey, I'm willing to pay this to have a team in Oklahoma City. That is what you really care about.
Yeah.
The rest, I mean, yes, it's important, but it's more so, hey, do your own calculations because the city probably did their own as well. So,
yeah, and I mean, I think there is a world where we don't know the details and it is more favorable than we realize. I also think that there's a world where if this ownership group put up a higher percentage and they're like, hey, great, but now we simply can't afford bring back Josh Giddey. Or we simply can't afford to give so-and-so the max.
Oh yeah, that would be
because we put up a ton of like upfront money. Like that could also be, and I know, like I'm not crying for these guys that make a ton of money. I'm just trying to come up with other logical reasons why it makes sense to get there. And again, I think it is fair for Thunder fans to say, hey, great. You guys are getting a great deal on this new arena that you're going to play in. And we expect there to be an investment in the team.
Yeah. That is fair. That is extremely fair.
So, and I don't want to go as far to say I think I would expect that, but I think that it is a fair expectation and a fair assumption that when moving into this new deal, that could happen. Because ultimately, what the people of Oklahoma City would want and Thunder fans want is to have a successful franchise here.
Yeah.
And I do think that the ownership group is motivated to do that. Obviously, management is, obviously the team is, obviously Mark is. All those guys are very motivated to do that. So I just think that, again, you're right. The 50, the 5% or the 4.5% of money that they're putting up, it's not great. It doesn't look good, or 5.5%, whatever it is. 5.5%. It doesn't look great. However, we can't see the entire scope of it. And so people have good arguments as to why they don't think they should vote yes. And I'm not going to, and we may disagree. Jason Gallagher has a lot of we disagree fundamentally on some things, and that's okay. I don't think he's like way off base or like way out of bounds on his thinking. But I also believe that if this is voted no, that it's not going to be as simple as, hey, let's just go back to the drawing board and figure this out. I think it could get pretty chaotic, and it could result in things that we don't want. And Oklahoma City is not so far advanced and hasn't gotten so big that we can just mess around and make demands as a city as to what's going to happen here. I think sometimes you just have to take the deal that's in front of you and make sure that you can keep an NBA team in your city.
Yeah.
You know, even if it doesn't look great, because the alternative of not having a team would be very bad. Would be very, very bad for the city. Okay, let's move on. Michele, we are going to grade every draft pick. And I think we called the 2021 draft number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily going to grade the 2020 draft. Alex actually talked about it last week. So I think that if you want to hear our thoughts on the 2020 draft, you can go listen to that on last Wednesday's show. But we're going to grade 2021 through today in each pick that they made. So 2021, the lottery was horrifically disappointing. Horrifically disappointing. It was our first event after, and like COVID still exists. I don't want to say post-COVID, but post-pandemic, to do an event for Thunder fans with Down to Dunk. We had it at the Mule in Edmond, and we were like, I don't even know if we can fill the Mule in Edmond. Well, we filled the Mule in Edmond up to the brim, and then we filled up. There's a brewery across the street, and that was full too. People were so excited about it. And so we get there, and I had phone calls with people where after we got off, our sign off from the phone call was like 1-5, baby, 1-5. We thought, there was a chance that you get the first and the fifth pick. The first pick from the Thunder, the fifth pick from the Rockets.
Yeah.
And, the worst outcome, I think, was getting pick 7 only was the worst outcome. And pick 6 by itself was the second worst outcome possible. Well, that's what the Thunder got, was the 6th pick. And it was
like 12% or something like that.
Yeah, it was so
Probably
so
less.
bad. It was so bad. And so everyone was very, very deflated at this party, and you kind of leave it thinking, okay, well, maybe they can make a trade. The Cavaliers, that was a team that people thought perhaps the Thunder could make a trade with, and you get to draft night, and you're not hearing a whole lot, and then nothing happens, and they get to pick 6, and they, I think James Bouknight was the guy that everyone had circled and targeted. Some people still thought the Thunder would take Jonathan Kuminga that night.
Not many.
Because he was like a raw prospect that had a lot of athletic tools, which was like kind of like the old Thunder way of drafting. And they chose the Australian point guard Josh Giddey at pick 6. Do you remember kind of how you felt that day or that evening? Or I guess what it would have been like in the middle of the night for you?
It was in the middle of the night. I was awake. I don't remember why I was awake.
It's the draft, and you're a draft psycho. So
yeah, but I never did it afterwards. So in 2022 and 2020, maybe 2022, yes, I saw Chet Holmgren and then went to bed. Last year I did not. Or yes, again, I don't remember. But anyway, because it seemed to me that we were live, or I was live somewhere. But anyway, I remember because I tweeted, hey, let's just draft Josh Giddey. And it happened. So I was so sad. Wow. And I remember SportFan405, I think it was him saying, whoa, you called it. I said, yeah, it was weird. But I was not into Bouknight. I was not into Franz Wagner. My mistake. And definitely
a lot of people weren't. I think like Matt Penny was one of the only people that was super into Wagner.
I actually tweeted at him. I said, Matt, what is your thing with Wagner? I don't see that.
Yeah.
I said, well, I can see him being a shooter, being connective tissue. I said, well, yeah, but he shot like 35% on a very low volume, and he was clearly right.
Wagner would go, like if you did a redraft of this draft, I think you probably still take Cade 1, but you could justify taking Wagner in the top 4.
Do you really take Cade number 1? I know that the answer should be yes.
I still would, yes, just because I value on-ball creation skills and size still a lot. And if you're a 6'7" point guard like Cade, and he's got scoring ability, kind of where like Giddey and Franz lack, like Cade could fill in the gap of like being like a truly elite star. He's got all of it. Now he's got to be healthy and he's got to put it together. And he hasn't done either one of those things yet.
Yeah.
But I think I would still take Cade. If
it's
it's
kind of the last year, right? Like if this year disappoints, I don't see that. And
he's got to take a step up. He doesn't have to be an all-star this year, but he's got to take a step up this year.
But if it's nothing like Giddey could be an all-star this year. I mean, this is too much. I know. In 2 years,
it's possible. No. It's possible.
I mean, he was just one of the best players in the World Cup, and he's 20. Like this is not something that happens every single day. So I'm not saying that I would draft Giddey before Franz or that every team will do that. It's difficult, and I would probably draft Cade because of glimpses of talent, especially if I am a certain type of franchise where you have to kind of do it. You have to swing for the fences. But I think that there are teams that would actually pick Franz before.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I think it would be like Cade, Mobley, Franz, Giddey in some order, like those four. And I think Barnes is pretty close behind those guys. Who else would be in the mix there? I mean, those are like the four, because like the later in this draft, it gets pretty gross pretty fast.
Yeah.
But it's like those guys are kind of the cream of the crop. And then like Jalen Green, has not really been the guy yet, but those type of players can take a little bit more time. So, it could be a couple years before we really figure out what he is. Jalen Suggs just has flat out not been very good. Kuminga has not been very good.
You're being very wrong on Suggs.
Yeah, I mean, I still like him. I still think he's going to be a pro for a long time, but he's not going to be it's unlikely he's going to be a star point guard. But
yeah.
Anyways, the Thunder made an exceptional pick at 6.
A champagne pick?
So let's go over the scale. You're going to have to explain it because I am not a wine connoisseur at all, or a champagne or bubbly wine or whatever you want.
You know champagne.
I mean, I know what champagne is. I've had it.
Okay. Did you like it?
I liked it.
Okay. So champagne is about a region in France, and it's about a way of doing wine. It's both, actually. Okay. There is a champagne method. It's very complicated. I'm not going to explain it today. So we're putting that as the best sparkling wine. There are many listeners who say, well, but also Franciacorta in Italy also. But yeah, okay, champagne. Then we stay in France to classify all these wines that are done in the same way, but are not from that area. So we have the Crémant. Try that. Crémant. It's basically cream with Crémant at the end. Crémant. Okay. Crémant. So this is basically the sparkling wine from France that is not from the Champagne region, so they cannot call it like that. Then we have the other way of doing sparkling wine, which is basically putting some yeast inside so that you create bubbles. That is a Prosecco way, which it's very, very cheap. So we're saying like, yeah, a wine that most of the time it's just there for reasons. You just drink it because you want some alcohol.
Chris Duarte type of wine.
A Chris Duarte type of wine, exactly. And then you have this, we don't have cooking wine in Italy, but we have many of this wine that you can buy in this paper, whatever, that you have to uncork. Yeah. We have Tavernello, which is very, very famous in Italy. Everyone knows that is a terrible wine. And so when you put that on table, you are very desperate. Like this is the lowest level you can possibly go. And usually, like whoever puts that on a table, it's basically on a different bottle just to mask it. Because if you put that on the table, it would be just gross. So we have champagne.
So college students drink.
Oh, I remember vividly. I was on a in a camping with my parents, and we used to go out in the night. And there was this girl who said, "Oh, let's get drunk." I said, "Yeah, what do you have?" Tell me. I said, "Please no. I will gladly drink water for the rest of the night." So it was a liter of, which is probably not a half a gallon, a third of a gallon, maybe
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brutal.
So champagne, Cremant, Prosecco, Tavernello.
Okay. I'll forget all of those besides champagne quickly, but I'll have to have you walk me through. I think it's a champagne pick. I think this is like, you could argue that Franz would have been a better fit with this core. Like if you had SGA, Dort, J-Dub, Franz, and Chet starting, like that fits a little bit better than Giddey in there. However, I do think that there's a chance that Giddey ends up being the best player in this draft. I still think like he's got a chance to be that. If he can figure out how to shoot, Josh Giddey can be the best player from this draft because he does have a higher processing ability than Franz, really than everybody in this class. And he's huge. He's 6'9". He's getting stronger. He was obviously the leader of this Australian team. So I do think that at this point you don't regret taking Giddey. Also, Giddey is a year younger than Franz too. So I think that we can get 2 years down the road and think, oh yeah, Franz Wagner is like a much better player than Giddey, or it could flip the other way. We just don't know yet. However,
or they might be two players on the same tier.
Could be
for their entire life, and you could still say, hey, maybe Franz would have been a better fit. I don't know if I agree with Matt Noonan in the chat that says if we have Franz Wagner, we don't have Chet, because I'm almost sure the Presti would have done whatever, like sitting Shea earlier, sitting Franz
Giddey
earlier.
was good his rookie year.
Yeah, it was. It's not very conducive to winning basketball games, but if you don't have a point guard and whatever you have, it's just like Theo Maledon running the show.
Also, remember who got the number 1 pick in the draft in the following year? The Magic. With Franz Wagner on the team. So I just don't think that it definitely equates to like Wagner and SGA equal like Magic. You know, well, not the Magic, but you know what I mean. We don't know. We don't know. It's possible that the Thunder could have gotten the first pick just because it's literally a lottery. It's literally based on luck. And if you change one or two things, it doesn't mean that one thing is definitely going to happen. One thing is definitely not going to happen. We don't know. We just don't know. All we're doing is just trying to grade these picks. So we can't operate in like, hey, if you do this, then that happens. Yeah, butterfly effect all over the place. But we're just going to grade the picks. Josh Giddey, obviously that was a incredible pick. Then we get to 16, where the Thunder were supposed to be picking. They had the Celtics pick. They traded to the Rockets for a protected Detroit Pistons pick and a protected Washington Wizards pick. So they get 2 picks for pick 16, which at the time was like unthinkable to get 2 first-rounders for pick 16. Şengün did wear a Thunder hat that night, and people did think, if you weren't following Twitter, you would have thought that the Thunder were getting Alperen Şengün, which I was pretty excited about, to be honest. But the Detroit pick is top 16 protected in 22, top 18 in 23, 18 in 24, top 13 in 25, top 11 in 26, and in 2027 top 9 protected. And if it doesn't convey, then it will turn into a 2027 second round pick. So this is likely to convey. I don't think Detroit is going to be horrific for the lifetime of this pick. I think it'll probably convey in 25 or 26. I think it'll be tough for them for it to convey for the 24 draft, which the Knicks are probably fine with, because I just don't think that's going to happen. But it's possible that they're out of the lottery in 25 and 20 or 26. And then in 2027, it's top 9 protected. Like if that never conveys, Troy Weaver has lost his job and they have made some terrible terrible, deals to get to this point. So that will probably convey. And then the Washington pick, 1 through 14 protected in this past draft, 1 through 12 protected in the upcoming draft, which will not convey.
No.
1 through 10 protected in 2025.
Eh.
Maybe it conveys. And then 2026, top 8 protected. This may not convey. If it still hasn't conveyed, Washington will give up a second-round pick in 26 and 27. That may not convey.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. We'll see. I mean, we don't know everything for sure. I mean, it's possible that the Wizards just keep all their guys and they overperform and it conveys this year, but I find that to be very unlikely. So that one's a little bit more shaky, but the Thunder don't even own either one of those picks now. But how do we grade this today? Şengün has been a player for the Rockets that is interesting. I think this next year we'll learn a lot about him with how the new Rockets coaching staff decides to use him. Still not a great defender. Offensively, he does a lot of stuff. He's very creative. He's a very fun player. He is good, like good rebounder, good scorer, good passer. I just don't know if you can play him as a center in this NBA. I think it's tough. I think he'd be an outstanding FIBA player. But how do you grade this today?
It's a bit in connection with 2 other picks that OKC made. One is clearly the next one that we are going to grade. But if we have to go in a vacuum and saying, okay, let's try to grade the trade. I don't dislike the value that they got from that trade.
Yeah,
what I heavily dislike is the fact that they had a great player there. That I am that there was an opportunity that Alperen Şengün was there at 18.
Yeah,
and so to me, that is why I don't grade this very highly, because I would have drafted Trey Murphy. I loved him.
You said it at the time. You said it I've listened back as I was on my riding lawnmower, mowing my yard. Listen back to the episode that we did after this draft. And you mentioned Trey Murphy multiple times.
Yeah, I had him very high. He was one of my favorite player in the draft. And so to me, he is worth 2 picks. I mean, now he had an injury. I hope it's not really serious or like it will not change his career. But to me, I don't trade 2 later picks for Trey Murphy. On the other end, if we connect this with 2022 draft and say, okay, this is the only way you get J-Dub, then I would have to say, okay, I mean, I would rather have no Trey Murphy, no Şengün, but I am sure to get J-Dub. So it's a bit all connected to me. If I don't see this as, okay, they will have 2 other picks to use to get J-Dub, so they will get him anyway, I would much rather like going for Trey Murphy there and just keeping my pick and bet that maybe Houston is willing to trade me something for the other pick that I have later on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. How would you? What's your wine grade?
To me, it's below average in terms of. So it would be a prosecco, a wine that you have when you really want wine and you really want bubbles, but it's not really what you should have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I probably agree with that. Some of this will also depend on how Ousmane Dieng turns out, because 2 of these picks were used to acquire Us in the following draft.
Yeah, so, I don't even go there. To me, it's about securing J-Dub, not getting Dieng. Otherwise, it's probably less than that in value. But okay.
Yeah. Well, we just don't know. We just frankly don't know, though.
We don't know. And there are players that really underperform in year 1 and then become stars. But it's not common.
Yeah. I mean, to me, he doesn't have to be a star.
That is true. If he becomes a really reliable role player, then I'm willing to, like, a starter, not a role player.
Yeah, like if he's like a version of like Nick Batum.
Oh yeah, I would pay 2 first for Prime Batum. Yes.
So, which is not impossible, which I think is actually like a pretty good comp because Batum is like one, not a very physical player.
Mm-hmm.
Two, but a great connector of offense and defense, which I think is what Jang could be.
That's a great comp, Andrew.
If he could become that kind of player, like I think that this is fine. Also, I still just believe, and this is something that you said during the draft process, is that it's just really hard to build around a center that's not very skilled on defense. And now that the Thunder have Chet, I don't think that you can question just the Şengün portion of this at all. Like, I don't think you can lose sleep as a Thunder staff or as a Thunder fan over Şengün.
Oh, no.
Because I just don't think he quite fits the way that the Thunder want to play either. So I think it's fine. I think still kind of TBD, but yeah, kind of below average at this point. Unless like Jang emerges as like a very good role player this year. Okay, 18. At 18, the Thunder did make a pick. They took Trey Mann out of Florida. It was a little surprising to me. I think the main reason, and he's displayed this at the NBA level, I think the main reason you take Trey Mann is that he has an elite ability to create space on the perimeter with his shot. And it's seriously probably top 5 step back threes in the league. I know he didn't hit a high percentage of them, but the space creation is just insane. And last year looked really bad for Trey Mann. And there's a chance that we get through training camp and Trey's not on the team. That's possible.
Yeah.
I would grade it the same level of wine. I don't think it's a complete failure just because like a guy that was like the guys that were picked after him.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say. Yeah.
I mean, you got Kai Jones, who has just become an absolute maniac online the last several weeks. Jalen Johnson went to the Hawks. Keon Johnson.
Pass.
Isaiah Jackson.
Pass.
You know, Usman Garuba, who the Thunder have already passed on. Josh Christopher. No, Quentin Grimes. No. Quentin Grimes is the one where you get to and you're like, okay. But Quentin Grimes was a 21-year-old junior in this draft. I don't think they would have taken him. Then you have Bones Island. No. Cam Johnson. No. Jaden Springer. No. Daron Sharp. No. Santi Aldama. Probably yes. And it probably felt a little too soon to take Santi Aldama at the time. You know, I think you probably hope that he falls to the 30s and you can pick him up there.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. And so, anyways, I mean, that's falling 12 spots. And there's one guy in 12 spots that you're like, man, they should have taken him. But he was an older player that I don't think the Thunder were quite ready to take yet. I think they were more ready to take on a younger player that has like some upside in Trey. And it to this point has not worked out. He looked great after his rookie season. We had high hopes for him. And there's still a possibility that he arrives at training camp and he looks great and he carves out a role. And because he does have better creation ability, he's probably also a better passer than a guy like Isaiah Joe. He could supplant a guy like Isaiah Joe. It's not impossible for that to happen.
It's unlikely. But
it's unlikely, but all this to say is like the story is not complete with Trey Mann. So I just don't want to act like I know how Trey Mann's career is going to go. I really don't.
Yeah.
However, this is the level above the box wine at this point.
It's always Prosecco. Yeah.
So this is Prosecco. I think every pick except for Quentin Grimes is Prosecco for every team.
Oh, there are some Tavernello there. Come on.
Huh?
There are a few Tavernello here and there, like where you say, it's terrible. I mean, to me, Garuba is really bad. Not because it was a bad pick there, but if you look at the return, like it's borderline out of the league. So
it's bad.
Shout
out to the Warriors who picked him up on a 2-way contract.
Yeah. That's why I said almost. But again, it's a 2-way after you're picking the teens.
Yeah,
that is bad.
It's not ideal. Not ideal. Okay. So let's move on to the 32nd pick, which was Jeremiah Robinson Earl. The Thunder traded the 34th pick and the 36th pick. Miles McBride, who was pick 36, who plays for the Knicks, who's he's fine. He's okay player. Can't really shoot. And Rokas Jakabetis.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this dude. Fine, whatever. Players that could have been chosen. Herb Jones was taken 35th. Ayodesumu was taken 38th. Jared Butler, who was on the team anyways, 40th. Isaiah Livers went to 42nd.
BJ Boston. No, I'm kidding.
BJ Boston.
To me, there's it's not really on the guys who were behind him. It's more the fact that Jerry is not worth trading anything extra at this point.
Yeah.
So trading 2 picks, it's actually bad. He can be out of the again. It's nothing really damaging for OKC going forward. It's a second round pick that doesn't work. It's really not important. 2 second round picks that don't work, still not damaging. A little bit worse.
Yeah.
So it's an in between. So it's Tavernello. It's not Tavernello, which is the worst because it's not the worst. Come on. But it's a Prosecco. It's a bit stale. It's been open for a couple of days. Should I really drink this?
Mm-hmm. And Jeremiah's a really good guy. He's been good for the
he's a great guy.
There's
a great guy.
And so I don't know. I think that it's not good. But the thing is, the Thunder nailed the pick that mattered in this draft, and that's pick 6. If you somehow miss on pick number 6, where you take Kuminga, or maybe you traded up and you got Jalen Suggs,
imagine if you take Book Knight for real,
or you actually took Book Knight. Wow. Then it wouldn't. Then I don't care if you took Trey Murphy and Santi Aldama and Herb Jones. I don't care, because all of those players are not changing your life.
No, Giddey
but
might.
Josh Giddey can change the outcome of this Thunder team in a lot of ways. Where those guys, I like Trey Murphy a lot. Is Trey Murphy going to be the difference in where the Thunder go in the playoffs? Probably more unlikely than Josh Giddey actually doing that. So they nailed the pick they needed to nail. And so I can't get worked up over all the other stuff. Was it all the rest of it great? Not really. The 16th pick being traded for 2 picks, I think is good value. Still TBD on what they got from that value. Yeah. The Trey Mann pick, not great. JRE, not great. Giddey, so good. So good. Great job. That's all. That's truly all I care about. The other stuff is not ideal. Okay, let's move on to 2022. The Thunder got tremendous luck. We did a lottery party at the Jones Assembly, and it was insanity. It was so much fun. As they continued to not draw the Thunder's name as they were moving up. So they did draw it at 12, which ends up being outrageously fortuitous for the Thunder. Very, very good for the Thunder. Where they get the 12th pick, that ends up being Jalen Williams, who would be picked, 3rd in this draft, probably? 2nd in this draft?
No, I don't think 2nd.
But probably in the top 4 in this draft if they redraft.
I think it would be 3rd.
Yeah.
I mean, probably Paolo, Chet, and then him.
Yeah. I think that's probably right. And so anyways, you get the 2nd pick. So much excitement. If you don't remember the story, it was foretold that we would get the 2nd pick. I was with my wife on a trip.
Your wife.
My wife. We were on a trip and we rented a convertible, and we were driving down by the beach, getting ready to go back to our condo to pack up and leave to get on an airplane. I was in Florida the day of the lottery, flew back that day, and then went to almost straight to the lottery party. But on the way back to our condo, I got pooped on by a bird. Moving on the road, poop hit me right in the head.
Okay.
I felt it. And I look over at Amy and I kind of felt it, and I looked at my hand. Clearly bird poop. That bird was eating some seeds. And I was just like, oh my gosh, a bird just pooped on me. I said, you need to look up what this means. Look it up right now. She looked it up, and it meant just tremendous. It means luck, like good luck.
Yeah,
and I was like,
what
this
worse can
actually
happen to
means
you besides like someone pooping on you?
even more luck because I'm in a moving vehicle. Moving vehicle. And also, number 2 is poop. We got the second pick. Obviously, it was foretold.
Yeah, I had a friend who tried to push luck on him that way, who would stop my dad from driving the car. Stop, please stop. And he had to just open the door and put his foot on one like big dog poop. My dad was not happy. But it's luck. I said, no, it's you being
That's
dummy,
not
and now
luck.
you're going to walk.
I didn't ask the bird to poop on me. I wasn't like driving under birds on purpose. It just happened. Anyways, the Thunder got the second pick, and they ended up picking 2, 11, 12, and 34 in this draft. Ended up taking 4 guys, which is kind of crazy at the time. But they took Chet Holmgren, number 2.
How do you grade this?
It's tough because we haven't seen him play in the NBA yet.
So to me, they picked the second player, best player, hypothetically best player in the draft, right? Like for what we know now.
I think if they got the number 1 pick, this is who they were going to take.
Yeah. But if we take it like a year after, I would say that Paolo is deserving of a number 1 pick. And so you can say, okay, they were 2 and they drafted probably, most likely, the second or third best player in this class. And so to me, it's just sticking with the value of the pick. So not like an amazing pick. Is it fair to say that it's just Cremont and not Champagne because we didn't see Chet play and we really don't know?
I still just have a feeling about this guy.
Oh yeah, me too.
He's ultra competitive. He has almost the exact skill set minus like just a giant frame that you would want out of a player that plays a center position for the Oklahoma City Thunder. In fact, you need to listen. This is part of our 2020. So this is the 22 draft. This is part of our 2021 post-draft podcast. So just listen to this real quick. This is what you said after the 2021 draft.
Shevsky become top 20 players in the league. This team is ready to compete. Like, it's not a given that this version of OKC will likely win in the 30s, like high 20s, low 30s next season. But the path to be a very good team may be shorter than what we think. And maybe it's they have bad luck, and so they are in the lottery again, and maybe they will draft Chet, and there you have it, your starting 5, with Chet as the 5. Can you imagine? Or Paolo Banchero.
I definitely can. I can imagine it.
Yeah, or you draft Paolo Banchero, which is a very good wing.
You predicted a year in advance that the Thunder were going to take Chet, and that he was.
That is not predicting. It's. But anyway.
Yes, you did. You did it. Congratulations. I mean, there were so many Chet predictions along the way that just made it so. I think it's Champagne. 1, you got really lucky. 2, you draft a
if
player.
You included lack. I agree. Like I 100% agree.
Yeah. You're lucky, and here's the thing is, and Alex was on this early, and we talked about this a lot. The kinds of players that change the league are the ones that are just different. That do things differently. Chet and now Wembanyama are these like giant stick figure centers that can literally do everything on the basketball court. And we don't know exactly what that's going to look like. And people are going to be critical of them. People are going to say it's not going to work. However, the Thunder have this like infrastructure of a team around Chet where unless he just can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
Which is possible. But unless he just doesn't stay healthy, I just can't imagine a world where Chet Holmgren is not a very successful NBA player. And he's the missing piece to what this team needs. A rim protector, a play finisher, another shot creator. I think he's going to be tremendous. I think he fits exactly what this team needs. You know, I think if it were Jabari, and Jabari played great in summer league, he just did not play well his rookie season. I think
Yeah.
that one I would be like, man, like he just doesn't quite fit exactly what the Thunder need. Can he shoot? Yes. Does he have like the profile of a good defender? Yes. But he doesn't do all the thundery things. You know?
Yeah, he can really shoot.
I mean, he didn't his rookie season.
I know. He had like a horrible season in terms of like teammates and then teammates and teammates and also shot selection.
Yeah.
I just think that yes, he missed a lot in terms of decision making, and I know that it's not tailor made for the offense that Mark Daigneault wants to run. And if you look how Jang interprets basketball, you can see why he's more ready for that kind of basketball. But also, I mean, if you somehow slide a starting unit of Shea, Giddy, J-Dub, Jabari, and Chad, I would actually pay a lot to see that unit, because to me it will demolish people. There will be so much space, and the defense will be so elite. To me, it's just like, yeah.
Chet offers a different ceiling, though.
Oh, I would get both. I would do anything to get both. Nah, I would not switch between the two.
Yeah. I think it's Champagne. I really like the pick. And then, honestly, on draft night, the Knicks take Ousmane Dieng, and I feel relief that they did. I was not an Ousmane Dieng guy. I thought it seems like a Thundery guy. Seems like somebody the Thunder might take at 12. And the Knicks took him. I got excited. Then when I found out the Thunder were trading for him, I got less excited, because I also thought that meant that they were giving up 12 to get to 11.
Yeah.
They did not do that. They kept 11 and 12. So they traded 3 picks so that they could pick twice at 11 and 12, which, we don't know yet what that will look like. Is it likely that those picks are going to have like all-star return? Probably not. All those picks are highly protected. So, again, we talked about Dieng already. Like, the outcomes are anywhere from out of the league to a Nick Batum-ish player to even better. Like, honestly, like, he has a higher ceiling as a player. Did he show enough in his rookie season to say that he's going to be that? No, but we've got year 2. We'll see what that looks like. So I mean, I've got probably somewhere in the middle of the road. Like, I'm non-committal on what Prosecco, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Probably
it's a little bit below average as of today.
Yeah, that's probably where I'd put it today. But honestly, like, this could evolve either way. This could get a lot better or a lot worse, and we just don't know yet. And so I think it's okay to kind of even table that one. J-Dub at 12.
It's a champagne.
It's a champagne. Yeah. It's like a whole bath full of champagne.
It's a manual, like the 1.5 liters. It's half a gallon of champagne.
Didn't Amari Stoudemire bathe in champagne, or was that red wine? I can't remember.
No, it was red wine.
Yeah, okay.
Well, but that is also something, it's very weird, but it's something that is culturally from, I think, the Romans.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, also culturally from rich people.
Yeah, but 50 liters of wine or whatever you need to bath in. Probably if it's pure, then you need more than 50 liters, maybe 80 liters.
It's just like a 7-footer. You need a lot of liters.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, 30 gallons, whatever.
That's a lot. You gotta.
Yeah, but if it's cheap wine, it's not that you have to drink it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Anyways, that much of champagne. That much, 30 gallons of champagne for this one. Yeah. Because I think that, there's a chance that in 3 years, as the Thunder are entering more of like the prime age of this roster, that J-Dub is the second best player and it's like this like 2-man tandem of SGA and J-Dub going into the playoffs, and like those are the two guys that you got to stop.
Yeah.
And that's at pick 12, which is outrageous. I mean, you look at the guys that went after Jalen Duren, who also looks good, but I just don't think if you're taking Chet, you would take him. Abaji, Mark Williams, AJ Griffin, who's your guy. Tari Eason, Dalen Terry, Jake LaRavia, like Christian Brown, like some good players, Walker Kessler, like good players, certainly.
Yeah.
But nothing like J-Dub. And also personality-wise, J-Dub is just a gem.
It's just amazing. Yeah.
So it is a slam dunk. This is the peak pinnacle of Thunder picks. Like I'm not outside of Westbrook, I'm not sure that Sam has had a better draft pick because it won the night of the draft. It was thought to be a reach, as Westbrook was. I think that J-Dub and Westbrook, when you look back at like what Sam Presti has done with drafting players, it's probably because like Kevin Durant, no brainer. I think Chet's no brainer. I think Giddey wasn't a no brainer. And may also
it was a great pick.
Giddey might be is in the mix too with Giddey, Westbrook, J-Dub. Like those three picks are genius level picks.
Don't you think that we have to give him another year? I'm
J-Dub?
not worried to J-Dub.
Why?
Because I want to see it again. Because he can go and be a Rudy Gay type of guy. And don't get me wrong.
I'm getting
okay. I'm exaggerating.
Way wrong, bro.
I am way wrong, and I bet that this doesn't happen. Rudy Gay was a borderline All-Star. Probably made the All-Star once.
He did not.
Never?
No.
But he was very close to being the scoring leader of the league. The year in Memphis. I don't remember. Is this my projection of Rudy Gay?
Also, like, those are bad Memphis teams that got better immediately after they traded him.
Yeah. He was never just trying to find a scorer. Like a scorer.
He never shot above 50% from the field. Not one time.
Okay, I made the wrong comparison. Sorry. Just find a better, efficient player who is not a bona fide All-Star.
Impossible. That's the thing, though. That's the thing that separates. That's the thing that separates like Rudy Gay from like these like bona fide All-Star players. Is that those guys are like efficient and doesn't take as many shots. You're not taking as much off the table.
I know. Can we wait another year to see if the efficiency, when there will be guys to scheme up for J-Dub?
Yeah, the thing is that it's going to be hard to do that because you have a All-NBA first-team guard on your team.
So what is that? What is the outcome? It's for sure All-Star? Multiple-time All-Star?
Multiple-time All-Star, yeah.
Oh, wow. You're okay, you were very convinced.
I am. I'm convinced that this is a multi-time. He shot 52% from the field.
I know.
52% from the field.
I'm not saying that he's a bad player.
And it was all finishing around the rim stuff, which
is very interesting and very promising. Can we see if the consistency is there?
He just got better as the year went on.
I know. I know everything. I was there watching it.
I'm convinced that this is going to be one of the guys. I'm convinced that this is going to be one of the guys, one of the top 3 best players on this team. And
so you think that there is no chance that Giddey is better than him?
I'm not saying there's no chance. I don't think there's no chance. I think there's no chance that J-Dub does not make an All-Star team at some point in his career.
One, I would probably bet yes.
Yeah.
Multiple times. That is where, because if you have an All-Star with 12, it's a great pick. But it's not the same as drafting Hall of Famer at 4. And to me, there is a decent chance that Giddey makes the All-Star like more than J-Dub, because Giddey we saw the first year, then we saw a better second year, and we saw a FIBA where he was better. Now, I can see, and probably it's likely that in 2 years or maybe in February, for what I know, we'll say, oh no, Giddy is going great, but J-Dub is on a different level.
Mhm.
And those 10 minutes in Summer League were so intense
Yeah.
and so overpowering. They say, oh, but I just need to see an NBA defense going against him another month or two, because it's before I say, okay, this is Westbrook level. If you say to me, okay, this is a pick that is great because he will make an all-star, I would say, yeah, I'm with you today. Like, Westbrook is an Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
That
I'm not
was a
saying that
reach.
he's like going to be on Westbrook's level. I'm saying the pick itself.
I know.
Westbrook
But
was
like,
picked 4th.
picking an Hall of Famer at 4, it's not a common thing to do.
No, but it's easier to do that at 4 than at 12.
Sure. I'm arguing if it's easier to draft a 2-time All-Star at 12 compared to an Hall of Famer at 4. To me, the former is harder. If you say to me a guy that is a perennial All-Star with 12, we're talking about Kawhi, we're talking about PG, and those are extremely great picks. So you're saying that he's PG, basically.
I'm saying that there is a non-zero chance that this is a Kawhi PG.
Okay. Non-zero chance is not what you're talking about. But
I think
so.
I
well.
think that this is their Kawhi pick. This is their San Antonio picking Kawhi. I think this is Oklahoma City picking Jalen Williams. I think he's going to be outrageously successful.
Okay.
In the NBA. I think he's 6'6", strong. He looks insanely strong now.
Yeah.
Able to finish at the rim, able to shoot, able to handle, able to pass. Like, what does he not
able
do?
to play defense at a high level.
Able to play defense at a high level, gets steals, has long arms. Those are the guys that are all-stars. Those are the guys that play in the league forever and dominate the league. It's not hard to envision a guy. It's not hard to envision him dominating the NBA. It's just not.
No, it's not hard. I just want to see him another year.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. You're going to be so excited when you see him another
I
year.
am excited.
It's going to be so
I
good.
am. I am ready.
Okay, his counterpart at 34, Jay Will, had a weird start to his rookie season. Was not great, but then had an awesome back half of the season. He started for them, played really well. Players that were taken around him: Max Christie at 35, Prachita, who we really liked, at 36, to the Pistons.
Hardy.
Yeah, Jane Hardy, who
Bryce
I don't think
McGowan's.
was under McGowan's, who's okay. Trevor Keels, New Dort.
Yeah. Josh Minot, which I protected, but Alex didn't allow in the expansion draft.
Gosh, why not? Yeah. Kamagate, who we kind of liked at 46, whatever. I think it's a great pick. I think that he profiles as a role, like a big off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Nice pick. We also had similar feelings about JRE after year 1.
Yeah, not quite the same.
But
I think
Jay Will performed well in games that mattered and played really well in that play-in game against the Pelicans. 8-8-8 from your 34th pick in a game that mattered, where he hit a huge 3 down the stretch. He was passing really well. He's got a great skill set, and I think that personality-wise, he fits great with this team. I think this is a
Cremon pick, not Champagne, not Prosecco.
Probably Cremon. Yeah, our first Cremon pick. Where it's like, this is a good pick. Is this like, as you can get insane value here, and we still don't know exactly what he's going to be, but like guys like Chris Middleton and Draymond Green and those kind of guys were taken in this range in their drafts, and like that is like obviously insane. Okay, so let's move on to this year. We just have 2 picks, so I think we can get these done pretty quickly because we still just have no idea, and maybe it's not even fair to do it.
Yeah,
because we haven't seen what either of these guys look like. But how are you feeling? Maybe we don't grade it, but just like, how do you feel about 12 for 10 in Bertans today, and the Case and Wallace pick.
Oh, it's better than 2 months ago. I mean, Bertans looks a little bit rejuvenated from the FIBA World Cup extraordinaire. I mean, he may be a guy that it's not just dead money, which is way more than what we thought.
Yeah,
we had some hopes. He seems to play like not that way, that money kind of contract. Case and Wallace, very hard to see. On one hand, I have the words of Sam Vecini just in my head at all times. It's very hard for a small point guard to make it in the league. You have to be very, very good. And I agree with him. On the other end, if the shot is somewhat reliable and he can play defense, then you can find a room in OKC. It will be hard. It will not be easy. Would he be my pick if I have to do it today? Probably not. I told you many times that to me, the value of a guy like Jordan Hawkins or Grady Dick for OKC was so clear to me that I would probably go that route still today. So to me, it's not an above average pick, but in 6 months, I could be the dumbest guy, and Presti could look like a genius like he always does. So to me, the feat for a guy like Grady Dick, it's seamless. He's a guy that will not be your, hey, I'm going some weird extra pass that because I'm projected 2 passes ahead. It's more, hey, I'm here, I'm doing these 5 things, but I'm opening so much for the others that no matter if I really process the game at a very high speed, or I recognize new situations without relying on the scheme, like playing more rhythm, less pattern, or whatever. But to me, the shooting is so important in this game, where even if he's not a very quick guy who processes the game well, he can be so valuable. So to me, I would have gone that route. I don't dislike the fact to jump 2 spots and trading Bertans in the process. I mean, if you want to get your guy and your guy's there 10, you do it.
Yeah, when I think about small guards, I think about guys that are like 6'1", 6'2". Kaysen measured at 6'4" at the combine.
In shoes.
He will be wearing shoes when he plays for the Thunder.
I didn't say that. It's door size.
Almost a 6'9" wingspan too. So he's got plus wingspan. I don't think he's that small. Like I don't know. Like he's not Peyton Pritchard, you know?
No. It's
so
not
like
Peyton Pritchard.
I think, and he's taller than Dort, you know?
Slightly, yeah.
So I just don't think of him as that small, I guess, whenever I think of Case and Wallace. And I like his intensity. I think they didn't draft, and I don't know this for sure. This is just my take. I think they didn't draft Grady Dick because he is just 100% big-time goober. And I just don't know that you want to inject that level of goober into this team because he is totally that. I personally would have loved it, would have loved to have that kind of goober, grade A goober on this team. Case and Wallace is like the exact opposite. Like he has like no goob in him whatsoever. I still like the pick. I think it signals also that like, hey, these like long-term projects, like maybe it's time to be done with those, because like Kaysen's not like some project player. He's somebody that you can see how he would fit with the team right away. And like the long-term project that could have been taken. I guess there's a few, but Koulibaly would have been the one, but he went 7 overall. Yeah. I just don't know that there's room for a guy like that. Even like Anthony Black and Jarris Walker, I think those guys are going to take a little bit more time than what Kaysen does, just because offensively, it's still really unclear what those guys are. But also, they didn't have the opportunity to take those guys. Anyways, Derek Lively, who went 12, where the Thunder, he's a project. So I don't think that they were going to take a project, even though there's not a lot of projects in this range. Hawkins and Buffkin and Keontae George is a project to a degree. Hutzcavino is a project for sure. But I think it's just kind of a signal that, like, hey, we can't take on these big projects because the team is starting to actually form.
Yeah.
And you can't, I don't know that the coaching staff has like the bandwidth to carry a long-term project like a Koulibaly. So anyways, I like the pick still. I don't think we give it a grade. Keontae Johnson at 50. Oh, we also didn't grade. I don't know why I didn't put this down. In the 2021 draft at 55, they took Aaron Wiggins.
Oh, that's Cremont or Champagne, whatever. He's a great guy.
That's Champagne. Great personality, great player. Wiggins. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Yeah, Champagne for 55. Insane to get anybody at 55. Keontae Johnson at 50.
We'll see.
He's a two-way player. We'll see. Similar opportunity. Very similar opportunity to what Wiggins had, being the 55th pick. Pretty cool that Wiggins being of the lowest pick or the highest pick. I guess lowest pick.
Lowest, yeah.
We struggled with how to phrase that the other day with our trivia. The lowest pick of all the picks. And like, he's going to like survive a lot of this. Like, good for him. That's pretty cool. And that makes that draft a lot better. If it's like you're walking away with Giddey and Wiggins and like nobody else works out, and basically two picks, Wiggins and Giddey. I also forgot to make this point. In the 2021 draft, the Thunder took they had 3 first-round picks, and they walked out with Giddey, Trey Mann, and 3 first-round picks because they got 2 firsts and they got a pick from the Favors deal in that draft, during that draft cycle. So, I mean, to walk out with the exact same amount of first-round picks that you walked in with, that was insane. Like, that is a masterclass in like rebuilding. I forgot to mention that for the 21 draft. Anyways, Keontae Johnson, we'll see. Cool story. Profiles as a guy that could work out because he's 6'5", he shoots it strong.
He's strong.
Anybody. I like him. I like the pick. Will it work? Who knows? Is there anybody after that I would worry about? I like Trace Jackson Davis, but I think Trace was always going to be a Warrior. His agent is Mike Dunleavy's brother.
Oh, okay.
And he was steered to the Warriors because Mike Dunleavy's brother's an agent, and that's Trace's agent. So like that's how that ended up happening. Like, he's one that I like, that I think could have been interesting and probably would have signed a 2-way contract too. Isaiah Wong is really fun, but I don't think he's a Thunder player. So anyways, who cares? It's the 50th pick. But I like it. All that to say, in this rebuild, Giddey, Chet, J-Dub, and, Kaysen, we don't know what he's going to be. He's still one of the
couple of good second rounders.
Higher picks.
This is also important.
That's all. They have nailed it. And obviously you have Shea, which is like not the icing on the cake, but the entire cake. This has gone better than you could have ever imagined as far as a rebuild goes. And if you're a Thunder fan, you should be feeling very good about the direction. Whether they win 43 games or 53 games this next year, I think honestly the win total is a little inconsequential to me, because I just think like this has worked so well. And I think whatever happens this year is kind of whatever to me. I think they are headed toward great success because of the way that they have drafted. And we don't know what Kaysen's going to be. Kaysen could be one of the 4 or 5 best players on the team. We just don't have any idea. Or he could be a bust. We don't know. We just have no idea. Same with Jang. We just don't know what he's going to be yet. There's still a lot of questions to be answered with this team. However, the fact that they nailed the Giddey pick, I think they nailed the Chet pick. They obviously nailed the J-Dub pick. And like that's all you needed to do, especially when you already have an All-NBA first-team guard on your team in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So just outstanding. Just outstanding job. Really fun to kind of look back through this. Did they nail every pick? No. Does anybody nail every pick? No.
No. Did you nail most of them? Yes.
Did they nail the ones that mattered? Yes. Which is not easy to do. Look back at the Warriors with their second timeline guys.
Oh boy.
I mean, if we were doing this for them, it would not look very good.
No, and the point is, for the Thunder, we said, yeah, there were guys after, but either they are on the same tier or they are inconsequential.
Yeah.
For the Warriors, Wiseman before LaMelo Ball, oh, it's terrible.
Brutal.
Kuminga before Franz Wagner, oh, this is even worse.
Really bad.
Really bad.
Really, really
bad.
Like franchise altering bad. And they obviously still have a championship level team. But if you just flip one of those where it's LaMelo or Wagner on the team,
this is really different.
If they have Franz, I would probably pick them to win the title this year.
Oh yeah,
like flat out, they're like that level of player away from being like the favorite.
Yeah, and they picked two players. They are so different.
Yeah,
from what their philosophy is, which I don't really understand. Like they are not too high level processor, like guys that process the game quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't make good decisions. They are not pass heavy guards or wing or centers.
Yeah, and to their credit, those are high upside picks that I think if I were in charge of the Thunder, I would have probably made those two picks because I think like
Wiseman before LaMelo. Come on,
probably not never done that. But I think Kuminga.
Not even Kuminga.
Just because he's like the 6'8" wing, like he could create.
By the time of the draft, we were so down.
Yeah, his interview was so bad.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Like for the Warriors though, like yeah, I know that they need play finishers, but come on.
The light years stopped somewhere. Now
yeah.
Now they were way behind when it comes to those draft picks, and honestly, most draft picks.
Yeah, Gray Baby's right. Halliburton. We were so into Halliburton.
Yeah, we were. If they picked Halliburton and Franz,
yeah,
they would.
That would have been a shock. Like to pick with the number 2 pick Halliburton. Nobody would have done that.
I mean, you just trade back and you get stuff.
Yeah.
You trade back with
12 is still weird by the day. There is no rumors of him being a prima donna or it's just
yeah, that was weird. Yeah, that was really weird. Okay. All right. That's a podcast for you on September 18th. Media Day is coming up. It's coming up quick. So we'll start doing our preview content that week. We're going to get some really good stuff from Media Day. So just make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. There will be some YouTube exclusive stuff that's going to come up from Media Day that I'm really, really looking forward to recording and getting out to you guys. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. If you are watching right now, quite a bit of you are. If you please just like this video right now, that somehow helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. So please do that. Hope you guys are having an awesome day, and we'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.